So welcome back to my ongoing journey about working out how the tech world or the programming world works. In my last video, I talked about Node.js, and if you missed it, I'll link it up right here. So go check that video out with me interacting with ChatGPT, learning about Node.js. So learning about Node.js a little bit more, you sort of start to realize that it's obviously an amazing tool, but it's kind of a bit of a bare bones framework where, I don't know, for example, it's like using a screwdriver. Whereas when you start to use Express.js, it's like using a drill. It basically takes Node.js to the next level, so to speak, where it makes it a whole lot easier to build servers and APIs. So anyway, let's not talk about it too much at the moment. I just want to build on the previous video that I created. So obviously, full disclosure, I'm still learning these things, so I'm going to be asking it some very basic questions. There's going to be some more aha moments. So if you're on the same journey as well, then you're in the right place. So let's dive in and figure out Express.js together. Okay, so let's start asking some basic questions. Let's start with, so what is Express.js and how does it differ from something like Node.js? Start with something real basic. Okay, so Express.js is a web application framework for Node.js. It simplifies the process of building web applications and APIs by providing a robust set of features and tools. Express.js streamlines the creation of server-side logic by managing HTTP requests and responses, routing, middleware, and more. So key features of Express.js: middleware support, easily integrates middleware to handle requests, responses, and routing. Routing offers a straightforward and flexible routing system, and templating supports rendering dynamic HTML using template engines like Pug, EJS, or Handlebars. And simplified API handling helps create RESTful APIs quickly and efficiently. Lightweight Express is minimalistic and letting developers choose additional tools and libraries as needed. So obviously we learned about Node.js. It's a runtime environment for executing JavaScript outside the browser, and it uses V8, the V8 JavaScript engine from Google Chrome to enable server-side scripting. Node.js allows developers to build scalable and high-performance applications by leveraging its non-blocking event-driven architecture. Okay, so how does Express.js differ from Node.js? So key features: Node.js, its core functionality is runtime environment to execute JavaScript code. With Express.js, the framework built on Node.js, it's a framework built on Node.js to simplify web development. Okay, so the purpose provides low-level APIs for creating server-side apps. With Express.js, it abstracts Node.js features for easier web and API development. Okay, we'll get into some specific examples in a minute. I kind of just want to cover some of these basics at the moment. With routing, so basic HTTP request handling. With Express.js, it does robust routing system and middleware support. I'm going to look into middleware support a little bit more. Learning curve requires manual handling of many functionalities, easier to use with predefined tools for common tasks. Okay, so maybe it's kind of like a React for Node.js. That's kind of what I'm getting here. So middleware must implement or include custom middleware, comes with rich ecosystems or middleware support, and uses cases, general purpose JavaScript runtime specifically tailored for web applications and APIs. Why don't I just ask her that question that I just mentioned right now, which is Express.js similar to React for front end? Not similar, but I mean, I don't know. Express.js and React are fundamentally, different in their purpose and functionality. They serve distinct roles in web development systems. Key differences: Express.js and React. It's a backend framework for Node.js. It's a front-end library for building user interfaces. Okay, I see. So Express is a framework, whereas React is a library. It manages server-side logic, routing APIs, and HTTP requests. React builds interactive and dynamic user interfaces for the client side. Okay, let's not get too wrapped up in this. Let's go back to some examples. So Node.js without Express, here you would grab the HTTP. So the server, HTTP creates server. If request.url, is / and request.method equals get. It writes head, so content. All right. And so Express.js, so content express require express. Okay, so you will call the express module request, send request hello world. Okay, cool. Let's not get too bogged down in that. Let's now ask, what problem did Express.js JS originally solve, and can you provide the specific example? What problem did Express.js solve, and can you provide the specific example? So, you know, where was this technology birthed from, basically? Problem Express.js originally solved. Before Express.js, developers using Node.js for server-side applications faced challenges due to low-level nature of Node.js HTTP module. Okay, I might just grab that if we can grab that and look that up in a minute. While Node.js provided a way to handle HTTP requests, it required developers to write repetitive and verbose code for common tasks such as routing. Mapping URLs to specific logic was manual and cumbersome. So middleware, no native way to easily handle middleware for tasks like authentication, logging, or parsing request data. And response handling, developers had to manage headers, status codes, and content manually for every request. Extensibility, building reusable modules or managing third-party tools was less intuitive. So how Express.js solved this problem? Express.js introduced a routing system to handle HTTP requests easily, a middleware layer to process requests and responses efficiently, simplified APIs for handling HTTP methods, responses, and views. This significantly reduced the boilerplate code and improved developer productivity. Okay, so it sounds like maybe it was there because programmers were repeating themselves a lot. So specific example, routing problem without Express.js using pure Node. Here's how routing was done in Node.js before Express. Okay, so request writes head, content, plain text. Chris Ed, welcome to the home page. Okay, so it looks like obviously it's repeating itself a fair bit here. Content type, res, write head 404, content type. Okay, server listen, console server running time. So verbose code with repeated logic for setting headers and response content, okay? And these were the challenges, and another challenge was handling more routes leads to even more repetitive code, okay? So no structured way to add middleware for tasks like logging or parsing request data. So with Express.js simplified this significantly. So this is obviously the code. Obviously looks a lot cleaner as well, and using different sort of methods, get, send, status. So improvements, so it was clean code. The routing system is declarative and concise, automatic response handling, so res.send automatically sets headers and status codes, middleware, adding middleware, example for error handling or logging, as simple as app use. Yeah, okay. For handling errors, which is app use. Yeah, this is for handling an error here. If the page was not found, setting a 404 error. So why was revolutionary? When Express.js was introduced, it provided a standardized way to handle common web server tasks, enabling developers to focus on building features rather than managing boilerplate code. This made it easier and faster to develop scalable web applications and APIs. For example, building a RESTful API with Express.js became so straightforward that it became the de facto standard framework for Node.js web development. Oh, okay, so building RESTful API. So became straightforward, was there a specific project that it began on? Was it a specific project that it began on? Yes, Express.js was initially created as part of a project called Vision Media by its creator T.J. Callaway Chuck. The origins of Express.js. TJ was one of the early contributors to Node.js ecosystem. Okay, at the time, he was experimenting with creating frameworks to simplify web applications, development on Node.js. Express.js was conceived to address the repetitive tasks and complexities involved in setting up HTTP servers using Node's built-in modules. Express.js became part of a larger ecosystem tool and libraries that TJ was building under the Vision Media umbrella, which focused on enhancing the developer experience in Node.js. Okay, the specific inspiration, Syntara for Ruby. Express.js drew heavy inspiration from the Syntara framework for Ruby, which was known for its simplicity and minimalism in building web applications. Just as Syntara provided a lightweight alternative to Ruby on Rails, Express.js aimed to provide a lightweight, flexible solution for Node.js compared to more complex or verbose setups. Right, okay. Early adoption projects. Although Express.js itself was initially developed for a specific client, it quickly gained popularity in early Node.js projects because it addressed key pain points, which is simplified routing for web applications, middleware for tasks like logging, foundation for creating APIs, which were becoming a dominant trend in the rise of mobile and SPAs. Okay, example of early use. Some of the first notable applications for projects using Express included RESTful APIs for startups and companies transitioning to JavaScript-based server-side programming. Real-time applications like chat apps or streaming services, leveraging Express in combination with WebSocket libraries like Socket OI. I want to get a bit more on this. So RESTful APIs. So Express.js became the backbone of many small to medium scale projects and quickly grew to be the go-to framework for Node.js web development. Its simplicity and flexibility were its greatest strengths, and it set the stage for more sophisticated frameworks and tools in the Node ecosystem. Why don't we just take it back to base level again and just say, can you explain the difference between Node.js and Express.js like IM5. Let's get like a one-liner here, just to sort of wrap this section up a little bit more until we get into some other areas of it. Imagine you want to build a Lego house. Here's how Node.js and Express.js compare. Node.js is like a box of Legos. It has all the pieces you need to build anything, but there's no guide. You have to figure out how to stack the bricks yourself, which can take a long time. With Express.js is like a Lego house kit. Yeah, okay, cool. It gives you specific instructions to build your house faster and easier. Instead of figuring everything out on your own, you can just follow the guide and focus on making it awesome. So Node.js gives you the raw tools and Express.js helps you use those tools in a simpler, faster way to build what you need. Okay, great. Can you break down what RESTful APIs are briefly, just so we can all be on the same page? So let's break down what is an API. So an API is an application programming interface. It's like a waiter in a restaurant. It takes your order to request a kitchen service item, brings the food to the response. What is REST? Representation state transfer is a set of rules, guidelines for designing APIs. Okay, cool. It's like the menu at the restaurant, explaining how you can ask for things, what you're allowed to request, and how. So key features of RESTful APIs is resource-based. Everything is treated as a resource. Example, the user, an order, or a product. And HTTP methods, different actions use specific verbs. So get, retrieve data, post, create data, put, patch, update the data, and delete, remove data. The stateless, the server doesn't remember you after completing a request. Each request is treated independently, and standard responses, the server responds in a standard time using JSON. This is for the key features of REST. All right, cool. What are some other things that I could just break down here quickly for Express.js? maybe, maybe that's what I wanted to ask. Yeah. So what is middleware in Express.js? And what else? Middleware in Express.js, and how does it work? Explain this like I am 5. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, let's imagine your web application is like a big slide at a playground, and the people sliding down are requests, like asking for a web page or sending data. What is middleware? Middleware in Express is like helpers standing along the slide. Each helper has a specific job, maybe to check one's shoes, another gives you a safety helmet, and another cleans the slide. These helpers make sure everything is safe and prepared before you reach the bottom of the slide, the final response. Okay, cool. How does middleware work? A request person starts at the top of the slide. Each helper middleware along the way does its job. Some helpers might add something like checking for a ticket. Yeah, okay, we get that. Once all helpers are finished, the person gets to the bottom where they get to what they asked for the response. So real example is in an Express app, a request comes in, so show me the home page. The middleware can log the request details, it checks if the user is logged in, and then it passes any data like turning a package into a smaller piece. Finally, the server sends back the response. Here's the home page. So the middleware logs the request right here, and then the route for the message. So it sends a message, welcome to the home page. And then the app listens 3000 milliseconds, and then the server is running on the port 3000. Oh, sorry, the port 3000, not 3000 milliseconds. That's obviously what the listen module does. So in short, middleware are like helpers that check, fix, or process requests before sending back a response. They work in the middle of the slide, hence the name middleware. Okay, cool. So in terms of building on this, what else can we ask? So, create routes. I wrote down a couple of questions over here. So, how do I create routes in? So how do I create routes in Express.js? And what are the different HTTP methods? So HTTP methods used for, right? Actually, no, why don't we just say, explain how Express.js uses HTTP methods. Wait, is that? Hold on. Express uses HTTP methods to define routes that handle different types of requests. So HTTP methods specifically specify what kind of operation you want to perform on the server. Okay, so each method corresponds to a specific action like retrieving, creating, updating, or deleting data. Yeah, okay. Key HTTP methods in Express. So the get fetches data from the server. So an example, viewing a web page or retrieving a list of users. So that's the get method. The post sends data to the server to create something new. Example, submitting a form to add a new user. That's an example here. And then the put updates the entire resource on the server. So for an example, changing all details of an existing user. And then it updates, so patch, it updates part of the resource on the server. So an example of this is modifying just the email of an existing user. And then delete a resource from the server. Example, removing a user by an ID. So that's the example there. So how it works in Express.js is you define a route. So a route is a combination of HTTP method and a URL path. Example, get users is a route of retrieving users. Handle requests with callbacks. Each method in Express takes a callback function to handle requests, so request and response res. So you can also process data or perform actions like reading from a database inside the callback. All right, cool. Yeah, so here's obviously the callback function there. So they all take a callback function. Interesting. So get, fetch all data. So users, request, send fetching all users, and this is creating a user. So the post, and then put, this is request. So updating user ID, and then updating users with ID. So request params.id, and then this is to patch, to update part of a user. You would say partly updating user with ID, and delete, remove a user, deleting a user ID, and then start a server with listen, and to listen to start a new server. Server is running on port 3000. All right, cool. So in summary, Express.js HTTP methods, get, post, put, patch, delete, etc. To define how the server should respond to different kinds of requests. These methods allow you to build RESTful APIs by mapping specific actions to specific routes. All right, that's pretty good. So can you provide a brief summary of what we have just learned? So a brief summary of what we've covered is that Express is a lightweight, flexible framework built on Node.js to simplify server-side development by handling routing, middleware, and HTTP requests and responses. And the differences between Node.js and Express is Node is a runtime environment for executing JavaScript, whereas Express.js is a framework that makes building web apps and APIs easier using Node.js. Cool. Yes. An example of what we learned in action. So get users, fetch users data, post, put, delete. Express.js helps structure these operations in a clean and efficient way. So great. Hopefully that's cleared up some confusion around Express.js. Obviously it is a framework that is used on top of Node.js, so you have to understand Node.js to be using Express.js. Express.js is obviously there to simplify the process, to get rid of repetitive code, and to make things more efficient, and to just obviously make it a bit easier to work with Node.js. That's what I'm sort of getting from this. Hopefully that's what you're picking up as well. If you enjoyed this video, then think about giving it a like as well. And yeah, I'm going to be obviously creating more videos in this sort of format. So thanks for sticking around, and hopefully you got something. Let me know in the comments if you like this video as well. If there's a specific technology that you want me to go through, please let me know also. But yeah, I'm going to keep creating videos like this and adding them to my playlist, so that it's easier to go back and review them all together. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.